The MMA fortune teller.
The teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller, the teller.
What's going on, Anthony?
Perfect. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great, man. So I appreciate you joining the show tonight, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So for everyone that's watching, if you guys didn't get a chance to check out Dana White's Contender Series about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, you fought, I think it was week 4. Anthony Romero fought on that card, and I thought you had an excellent performance. What was your thoughts on how that fight went down against a tough opponent? I believe his name was Mike Breeden.
I felt great. That's probably the best I felt in a long time. Compared to my last fight, my weight cut was great. It was actually quite easy. Wasn't bad at all, and everything just went perfect. And I felt like I was at home where I belong, and exactly where I wanted to be. So
Awesome. All right. Well, I do want to circle back to Dana White's Contender Series, but before we go there, so you're 23 years old, and I do believe you have somewhat of a traditional martial arts background, correct? Taekwondo and whatnot.
yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And you're a black belt in Taekwondo?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And was there some other martial arts that you trained in as well? That I may have heard that you were a black belt in some other martial arts as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. In Japanese jiu-jitsu, it's like sports jiu-jitsu. It's not as popular anymore, but it's more like self-defense, learning how to defend yourself on the street and all that. So,
Got you. So I'm assuming you were training Taekwondo and whatnot in the traditional martial arts before you got into MMA. What was that transition like? Transitioning into just straight up MMA, just throwing down.
it was. It worked well going from that traditional background to MMA, having some sort of base to rely on. Like that in and out movement helped a lot in striking. Just being able to switch my stance and the technique for my kicks. So I was a little bit ahead compared to someone who was just starting in MMA. So that helped a lot. And obviously it's totally different, right? Taekwondo person going into MMA, being able to get takedowns and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different game. But I caught on, and I believe it's from that background that I had. And yeah, just the transition went well. The toughest part was the wrestling. Wrestling is a super tough sport, and you don't have that. I believe a lot of people don't have the respect until they actually try it, and how hard it actually is. They realize pretty quick when you're looking up at the ceiling and the lights.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wrestling's tough, right? It's tough when you're fighting some of these guys that have been wrestling since they're 4 or 5 years old, right? It's tough. You're trying to catch up to them in that aspect. And but we've seen some guys do it, right? Like George St. Pierre, a fellow countryman of yours, right? A guy that was a traditional, I believe a karate martial artist originally, and he was one of the best grapplers we've ever seen fight in MMA, and in the UFC. Is that somebody that you look up to, George St. Pierre, or is that somebody you try to emulate in certain ways?
I've been asked that, and I guess it just works out. I guess the relation of both being Canadian, and yeah, just our stories kind of align. The reasonings why we started martial arts, and then that transition from the traditional martial art to MMA, not wrestling in high school, into our later years, and yeah, it kind of matches. I don't purposely emulate his game. I just try to be the best I can everywhere, and that's exactly what he does. And in this game, I think it's super important to be good everywhere, because if you have a weakness, then someone's definitely going to expose it.
Yeah. And speaking of fighting out of Canada, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember. I remember watching your fight the other week. Originally, or what was your background? I know you were kind of representing your background as well. Can you let us know, were you originally from South America? Were you born in Canada? I thought I remember you kind of representing your heritage.
Yeah. I was born in Canada, but my father's from El Salvador in Central America.
Cool.
My mother is Canadian, so my dad made the trip down here, just for the family, right, to make a better life for the family. He was in the military in El Salvador at like 14 years old. So he thought it'd be best to come down here.
Cool stuff. So you're representing El Salvador and Canada. Canada at the moment, in my opinion, it's kind of taken a little bit of a step back compared to, some years back. There's not that many big stars fighting out of Canada. There's some here and there. Is that something that you look into at all? Being that you do have a lot of promise, a lot of people have some high expectations from you down the line. I believe a lot of people believe that you may be one of the front runners to really represent Canada, on the big stage. Is that something that you think about at all?
I don't think about it too much. It's pretty cool when people say that I'm the next up and coming Canadian fighter. I've heard things that I'm the top Canadian lightweight prospect and all this stuff. Like I said, it's really cool. But me and myself, I just I stay true to myself, and I always say I'm an 0-0 fighter, and every fight I get in there, it's a new fight, and things can change just like this, right? We see in the sport, things change quick. So I always do my best to stay humble, and every fight, like I said, I'm an 0-0 fighter and wanting to get that first win. That's
a great mindset to have, man. That sounds like a championship mindset. I respect that. And, circling back around to your Dana White's Contender Series fight. First off, I want to thank you because you were one of my official plays. Just to give you some background, I kind of do like betting predictions and whatnot, and you were one of my official plays. When I was watching the tape on you, I liked what I saw, especially at where the line was. So thank you for that. But getting back to your fight, what was that whole experience like? Just to let everybody know, one judge had it scored 30-26. I thought you looked very good in that fight. And what was just one other thing I want to say before I let you tell me about that experience, something that it seems like we're seeing play out on Dana White's Contender Series is that you could look very, very good. We saw it this Tuesday. There was a fight that was an absolute war. And just because one of the fighters chose to make some intelligent decisions to win the fight, Dana White kind of held him, put him to the fire for that. So it seems like, Dana White just wants it to be, a straight up brawl for you to get a contract, or he wants you just gunning for the finish at all times of the fight. But I thought you looked really, really good in that fight. What was your whole mindset when that fight was said and done and you didn't get the contract, which was surprising to many?
Yeah, it was tough, especially being there for a purpose, right? Like, yeah, I was there to win a fight, but there was a little extra that I could have gotten. But I worked hard. The whole training camp was dedicated to that, getting the contract, and it didn't happen. So it was kind of, I guess I could say, heartbreaking, because I put my life into the sport. And just to hear those words and just all that, like all the visualizing you put in your head and the preparation and stuff, and then for him to say no, it just it crushes you. But after that, I was fine. I just it was just a quick heartbreak, and then I'm good. But just kind of working towards the step still. Like I'm right there, and there's not much else to do other than just keep winning. And yeah, the next step is still the UFC.
Yep. And on a positive note, you didn't get that contract. And like I said, I believe many would agree with me. I see people commenting here, I was pretty surprised you didn't get the contract. I thought you were going to get the contract. It seems like they've been giving a lot of contracts out recently, so maybe they were trying to slow it down or whatnot. Or I think maybe something that did play a factor is that you're only 23 years old, which on a positive note, there's some guys that are fighting on that series that, that's their one chance. Whereas with you, the future is so bright still, you have so many options in front of you. Have you thought about any avenues that you want to head down now? Where do you see yourself going next? What promotion do you see yourself fighting in next?
Like you said, I'm still young. People say I'm young, but I feel like time goes super fast. And I got to remind myself that I am only 23 years old, and I don't need to jump into things. I don't need to jump into long contracts other than the UFC right now. So I'm kind of sitting around waiting. I've had 2 fights this year already. My goal is to have around 3 or 4 in a year. And I'm like right there. So I'm not in a rush to take any fights in a local promotion anyways. But like Bellator is always there, I feel. But the UFC has always been my goal. and I want to be able to say that I got there, and then once I get there, make a career out of it and have a nice long career in the UFC, successful, of course. And that I want to be able to say I did what I was set out to do.
I really respect that because, me just being honest, I do believe that the UFC is where it's really at when it's all said and done. I mean, if you're looking for greatness, I do believe the UFC is where it's at. I really do admire, and I like all the other promotions, but I love when I hear a fighter say what you say, that they're really, that you're looking to get into the UFC as far as something long-term. Now, I have a couple questions I want to ask you, just some random questions. Was there anybody when you were growing up that was maybe your favorite fighter in the UFC or in any mixed martial arts promotion? Was there someone that was pretty much your favorite that you looked up to?
Of course, I got to go with GSP.
Okay.
He was my favorite fighter. He is my favorite fighter. I just have a lot of respect for not just his fighting, but his whole personality, the way he carries himself. It's just respect him a lot. Especially like when you probably heard on the Contender Series that I trained with him for a little bit. We had a sparring session, all that. So he was just such a nice person. Usually, I've sparred a lot of high-level MMA guys, and when you train with them, they have that ego with them, and they try to crush you no matter who you are, if you're a beginner or a high-level MMA person. And he was very respectful. He helped me after coaching me when he doesn't have to. Right, you just do the sparring session, give me a high five, and go on with the rest of his training session. So he's very kind, and yeah, he's just a overall cool guy.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. From my perspective, GSP was my favorite fighter growing up. I mean, he was my number one guy. When he retired, kind of early, it kind of broke my heart and whatnot. I'm a big McGregor fan now, but GSP was my number one fighter. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, imagine, on our end, I could only imagine what that's like training with him. You know what I mean? Just, grappling and whatnot and just sparring or whatever you guys did. That had to be a surreal experience, I'm assuming.
Oh, it was incredible. And I don't know if you saw on my social media, my one sponsor, he came over yesterday and he's like, "Oh, I got a gift for you." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. What is it?" I didn't really know what it was. And he had this case. I actually have it right here. And he opens it up and it's a UFC belt. I'm like, "Oh, no way. That's so cool." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, this is even better." And he takes the card out and it's like the credit, like the patent for his signature. So he actually signed the belt and he sent it to me, like, "Oh, congratulations," and everything. And I'm like,
"Oh, that's awesome.
That's so cool." And like my sponsor, Cracker Jack Stadium, he like collects stuff like that and like cars and crazy stuff like that, and he brought that to me. I'm like, that's incredible. I did not expect that at all.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I didn't see that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's definitely awesome. We got a question here from Rico Suave. He comments, kind of a unique question, but I'll give it to you anyway. Who does Anthony think his nightmare matchup would be? Maybe stylistically or I guess if there's a specific fighter. I don't know if it's a little bit of an awkward question, but I'll give it to you.
Maybe Francis Ngannou, we'll say.
Yeah. That's a good answer there. Yeah. I think he's everyone's nightmare matchup.
Oh, for sure.
All right, I'm gonna give you some quick questions. If you could just answer them quickly, like just one word answers or just short answers. Okay. All right. What is your dream matchup?
Habib.
Okay. Favorite liquor if you drink?
I don't drink. No.
Okay.
Water.
Water. There you go. Warm or cold weather?
Warm.
Okay. KO or submission?
Oh, KO.
Okay. Best lightweight fighter of all time?
Habib.
Favorite cheat meal?
Cheesecake.
Best walkout song?
Jump Around by House of Pain.
That's a good one. All right. Your favorite knockout you've ever seen?
Edson Barboza versus Terry Adam with that spinning heel kick.
That was a good one, man. Yeah. I watched that one live. And then the last one for you, the best fight you've ever seen.
Best fight. I'll probably go with Israel and Kevin Gastelum.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was an epic fight too, man. That came down to the 5th round, in my opinion. And Izzy dug deep.
Yeah.
So
back and forth.
Yeah. All right, man. So are you going to be staying at the lightweight division? I do believe I heard that you fought in the welterweight division as well, or have you always been at lightweight?
No, I've always been at lightweight. Even
Okay.
my amateur career, I was weighing in the same day, lightweight. So, yeah.
Okay. So you're staying there for good. Okay.
Yeah, for now, yeah. Yeah, who knows? Maybe featherweight will be in my future, but right now, lightweight is pretty good for me.
Got you. Yeah, I would like to say I would love to see that dream matchup, but I don't know how long Khabib's going to be hanging around. So I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll see Anthony Romero versus Khabib down
Yeah,
the line.
that'd be awesome.
All right. You want to let the fans know anything? You got any sponsors you want to shout out where everyone can follow you on social media or anything like that? Anything you want to say? The mic's open to you.
Yeah, I usually send people to my Instagram because all my sponsors are there, and because I got a lot of them, and I'll take up all the showtime. But yeah, just genius_MMA on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can find everything and kind of links to all my other stuff. But that's kind of my main platforms.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, and everyone that's watching, if you go to my Instagram and my story, I got you tagged there, so you could find his direct Instagram there. And I was also curious, the nickname Genius, where'd you get that from? How'd you get named the Genius?
Yeah, it just comes from my fighting style, my training style. A lot of people are kind of meatheads in training and fighting, so I take a smart approach in my training. If I need to rest, I'll take that rest day. I'm not scared to rest up my body. I think it's super important, especially in this sport. And I don't, knock on wood, I don't take a lot of damage in fights. I think I've only been cut once in like 8 fights, and yeah. So other than that, that's kind of where the name comes from.
Gotcha. All right, and I do want to apologize. I do see I messed up. I messed up on the record. You are 8-0, 8-0 as a professional, undefeated. So I do apologize. I see that below there, but I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm really looking forward to see who they match you up with next, or where you're going to be fighting, whether it's on the Dana White's Contender Series again, or wherever it may be. Maybe a short notice fight in UFC, or they just get you in there. I'm going to be watching, so I'm super excited to see you continue your undefeated career and see where it goes.
Thank you so much. Hopefully it's Fight Island. They're coming up soon, so we'll see.
Nice. All right, Anthony. Thank you. Hope to have you on again down the line.
Yes, for sure.
All right, brother. Thank you. That was awesome. Anthony Romero. I've been talking a lot about that guy, man, since his fight leading up to the Dana White's Contender Series show that he fought on. I was very high on him watching his fight tape. Going into that fight, I did make an official play on him. The dude has a very promising career, telling you guys right now. So if you're not familiar with Anthony Romero, keep an eye on him. I was very surprised he didn't get the contract. Very surprised. And but this is a guy that I would not be surprised if the UFC just ends up putting on a card, at any given time. As he kind of hinted, he hopes he's fighting in Abu Dhabi. So that might be something that you see. I don't think it's that far-fetched, to be honest, at all. So. And we do have another guest that's coming up, man, Andrew Ewell. So stick with us, guys. Andrew Ewell will probably be coming on in right around 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm going to start breaking down some of these Bellator cards. I'm going to start off with Bellator 245. Phil Davis taking on Lyoto Machida. You know how Bellator does it, man. They got some of these old school legends still throwing down. And Lyoto Machida now is Lyoto's 42 years old, but coming off a split decision loss to Gegard Mousasi. Before that, he did win 4 fights in a row. So but Phil Davis is always a real test. You guys know the deal with Phil. Phil can wrestle, and Phil is a guy that's he's 35 years old. He's still a legit fighter, man. This guy, he's always, a very serious wrestler. Can take you down. He can ground and pound you. Does carry power in his hands. You saw Vadim Nemkov just take the belt, and that was a very close fight with Phil. He lost that fight, but it was a split decision loss. So we'll be talking about that fight here in a minute. I'm going to start from the beginning of the main card, which I believe we'll be starting off with. We got 4 fights. I think we're going to start it off with Raymond Daniels. And what's up, guys? What's up, Ben? I appreciate you, brother. check these comments out real quick. What's up, Boone? Yeah, man, Anthony Romero is a cool dude, man, for sure. Yeah, I know football's starting up. I know the primetime games they're coming, man. The Chiefs and the Texans, man. But yeah, if you guys bounce out, man, this tape will be here. For those of you guys that are still chilling with me watching live, I appreciate you guys. But the Bellator breakdown is always here for you guys to watch. It'll be archived, and we're gonna get into that first fight. Raymond Daniels taking on Peter Stonik, and Raymond Daniels is an excellent kickboxer. If you guys aren't familiar with him, this guy was a kickboxer for years and has since been making the transition over to MMA, where he has been having some of the nastiest knockouts we've seen in the game. Both of his last fights, I mean, just destroying these dudes and making it look like he's in the Matrix, taking out Wilco Barros and Jason King. Now he's fighting this guy, Peter Stonik, who's also really a kickboxing-based fighter who's 5-4 as a professional mixed martial arts fighter. I'm going to make this quick for you guys. I like Raymond Daniels. I think that this fight, for the most part, is going to be a stand-up fight, and I think Raymond Daniels is on another level. And with the small gloves, I mean, he's probably going to hurt Peter. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get another knockout from Raymond Daniels. So, yeah, I got Raymond Daniels in that fight. Going into the next fight, man, we got Ed Ruth taking on Taylor Johnson. If you guys are familiar with Ed Ruth, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are, Ed Ruth is a guy, I believe he went to Penn State as well, similarly to Phil Davis. I believe he was a Penn State wrestler. If it wasn't Penn State, it was one of the top colleges. Either way, maybe it was ASU, I forget. But either way, this dude is a legit college wrestler. This dude can really, really use his wrestling to dominate MMA fights. And he's taking on this guy, Taylor Johnson. Taylor Johnson, we just talked about Taylor Johnson. Taylor Johnson was that guy who got finished by Muniz. The guy Muniz who just had a big submission victory over the Polish fighter on this past UFC card. Muniz submitted Taylor Johnson. Taylor Johnson was going into that fight with a lot of hype. Taylor Johnson has a strong wrestling background himself. Don't believe it's nearly as decorated as Ed Ruth, but nevertheless, this guy can wrestle as well. And he's a wild animal, bro. This guy goes in there to take your head off. He's just charging you. He's going to slam you. He's going to knock you out. That's what you can expect from Taylor Johnson. Ed Ruth, I think if Ed Ruth wants to take this fight, which he is a pretty big favorite, right around a -300, Ed Ruth needs to slow the fight down. He needs to fight very cautiously. And I think he'll be the superior wrestler when it's all said and done. But let the fight play out. Don't get knocked out with something. Ed Ruth he's 8-2, coming off a loss where he lost against that guy Yaroslav Amosov, who is a tough fighter. He also was choked out by Neiman Gracie. Neiman Gracie, a spectacular jiu-jitsu practitioner, kind of played into Gracie's strengths with the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu matchup. And I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor Johnson goes out there and pulls up the upset. I think there's some value on Taylor Johnson, but I'm going to pick Ed Ruth overall on a straight up pick. Training out of Jackson Wink, this dude's he's a very polished fighter who has a lot of promise. 29 years old. Got to say, Ed Ruth probably will win this fight, but I think there's some value also on its opponent there. So Taylor Johnson, man, look up his fight on the Contender Series, man. He's crazy the way he comes out, man. All right. See, in the next fight, we got Kat Zingano taking on Gabrielle Holloway. Kat Zingano, Kat Zingano, the old, was she a Strikeforce vet? She was a UFC vet, of course. And she's coming off that tough loss to Megan Anderson where she got poked in the eye with a toe, I believe it was. And has since been scooped up by Bellator after going one of 5 in her last 5 fights. And now she's fighting a girl that's not even near her level. Gabrielle Holloway is pretty much she has a boxing background. I think Kat Zingano can Muay Thai her up, clinch her, take her down, and beat her up. And I think this is a setup fight to start to get her on the winning track and, eventually give her some big name fights down the line. So Kat Zingano is a ridiculous favorite here. She's almost like a -1,000. It's quite crazy, actually. See here. In the next fight, we got the main event. Lyoto Machida taking on Phil Davis. Phil Davis is right around a -350 favorite, 35 years old, which is it seems a lot younger when you're talking about His opponent was 42 years old in Lyoto Machida. Machida's a guy that's been knocked out. We've seen him knocked out. We've seen him put out bad before. He's had some mileage on him. I got to go with Phil Davis here. I just think that Phil Davis is more towards the prime of his career. If Lyoto's able to stuff the takedowns and keep this fight standing, maybe he could use that karate style to outpoint Phil on the feet. Phil does tend to play in closely contested matchups. He'll tend to keep the fights close, split decisions and whatnot. But I don't even know if I see the fight going down like that. I think that Phil Davis is pretty much going to just take this fight. I don't know. But Lyoto Machida, you never know. If you really look at what he's been doing recently, it hasn't been that horrible. It's just the age, 42 years old, and just I don't know. It's tough for me to visualize him winning. His last fight was September of 2019, which was about a year ago, almost exactly. So it's been a year out of the cage. He's old. We'll see how he looks. We will see how he looks. What's up, Tehran? How you doing, brother? Getting ready for the weekend, man. We got a lot of fights going down this weekend, man. All right, so that wraps up Bellator 245. Andrew Ewell, I'm gonna check up with him, and if he ain't ready, I think he said right around 8:45. So we still have about 10 minutes for him. Otherwise, I'm gonna jump into the next Bellator card. Actually, we'll give him a minute because he still does have about 13 minutes. And I want to touch upon Bellator 246. So you guys remember, Bellator is doing 2 cards this weekend. They're doing 2 fight cards. So, they're also putting down a fight on September 12th. And there's some guys that you want to pay attention to that are fighting on this card as well. So I'm gonna do a breakdown of the top 3 fights in this one. Actually, we'll do the top 4. We'll also talk about the Derek Campos fight against Kiani Diggs, who's undefeated. In the main event, we got Juan Archuleta taking on Patchy Mix. That's a fight that a lot of people are excited about. Tehran Brown says, I wouldn't mind seeing Phil Davis back in the UFC. I mean, I wouldn't argue with you on that. I was a little disappointed when he left. Phil Davis is a guy that was, he was of caliber of the top light heavyweight fighters in the world. He's a guy that, if you don't have capable wrestling, this is a guy that can completely expose you. I was a Phil Davis fan, so it was I was watching him as he was undefeated fighting in the UFC, and then he was one of those guys that just the UFC wasn't a big fan of his fighting style, more wrestling based. We saw that with Ryan Bader as well. Don't sleep on Lyoto Machida just yet. Look at Alistair Overeem. He's still kicking butt at 40. It's a good point. And I don't know, though, man, with Machida. We'll see. I mean, Machida has to be able to stuff the takedowns. He will have to be able to stuff those takedowns and use his elusive striking style. Maybe he could do it. I just don't see it. I think that Phil is a legit light heavyweight fighter right now. You believe Phil Davis would have beat John Jones? I don't know if I'm necessarily in agreement with you on that, but I think that if I'm being honest there, man, I think that John Jones would have been able to nullify the grappling, and I think that Jones would have styled on him on the feet. That's how I would have saw that fight going. Phil Davis did lose to Anthony Johnson and Ryan Bader twice. But, I would have loved to have seen that fight. He also lost to Rashad Evans back then, too, which was that's when Rashad Evans was a little bit more legit. But, Johnny Cardone. Oh, you know what? We got Andre joining us right now, man. I'm going to bring Andre in. What's up, Andre?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Solid. My apologies from earlier. Like I said, I'm on weight cut brain, so like everybody's like book it with me, and I'm like, hold on, yeah, this and that, and then I'm making commitments, and I'm like feeling bad about it, and I'm like, so
no worries, no worries at all, because it actually worked out perfectly because I had Anthony Romero who came. He was going to come on later, so he just came on earlier, and it all worked out perfectly, man.
And so shout out to Anthony.
Bro.
He's gonna get his contract because he should have had one his last fight. But nothing but love to my brother. They're gonna end up calling him. If not, I feel like next week. So he might fight in the same card as me. I feel. There we
go. That's what I'm looking forward to, man. He's saying that he hopes he fights on somewhere in Abu Dhabi when they go back over there. So we'll see.
Hey, that'd be awesome too, because I'm like trying to make a smooth turnaround. So it might definitely be on that card too. One of them.
There we go. All right, man. So we got Andre Ewell. I know pretty much everyone's familiar with you. You got a big fight coming up right against Irwin Rivera. I just want to get some background on you. I want to let the fans know, or I want to give you a chance to let the fans know who you are. I've heard that you were an athlete growing up, right? You played football, you did a little bit of track, I believe, as well.
Man, I was am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Whatever you want, man. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
yeah.
the kid in track, and then you end up kind of getting like bored, I guess you could say. But I was actually really good at track. I definitely went far. I ended up a point of time I ended up getting like a full ride, but couldn't pursue the full ride just because I didn't take the SATs, and that became like a big commotion of basically where I'm at, But besides that, I was going to end up using that full ride just to walk on in football because I was a shit at football. Like right now, everybody heard about Odell Beckham. I had better hands than that. And I don't know if you're able to sit there and see it when it comes into the cage. Boy had hands. So I was like a super fan at that. So when it kind of came down to it, I was just a young dude, moved around a lot, and I had to end up fighting adversity, just dealing with a lot of drama, a lot of gangs and stuff like that. Basically, a life of the hood. Like put like this, you could take the hood baby out of the hood, but he's still the hood baby. I guess you could go ahead and say that, or the mentality of how you end up flipping it. So just been circled around everything, and everything ended up opening up where I'm still who I am.
How did you make that transition from all the athletics and whatnot to actually stepping in the MMA gym and starting to fight and whatnot?
Well, the funny story is that I actually started with wrestling, and wrestling turned to Taekwondo to boxing, and my pops making sure that I ended up fighting because every time we moved, the bully always ended up finding the light-skinned boy that didn't fit in,
Oh,
So like I said, it's growing up, so you end up understanding like certain situations where fighting is actually the answer to things, Granted that like a lot of things end up changing where a lot of people end up shooting people and whatnot, but I went through that and stuff like that. But like I said, it ended up floating into directions where positive is the answer to get out of things, and obviously mentality is to fix things,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that.
So before you ever started even training MMA, you were already familiar with fighting. It was something that you were already familiar with.
Oh yeah, that was I promise you, it was my second home. This is how you know it's your second home when you hear your mom say, "I think you should fight." You gotta think that, because mom,
that's the sign.
Not like that. Like they over there, they gotta protect my baby and all that, But my mom's mindset was, "Hey, I think you need to fight." And then when I went to boxing, she was like, "No, I wasn't talking about this. I was talking about like fighting, like what they're doing." And then she was like calling that for like in the beginning, but everything kind of like went into that direction as soon as I dealt with court systems of my son and everything, and the judge looking at me with no value. So that was like the most mental motivation you could ever end up having, is when someone looks down at you like you're a piece of basically shit,
Yeah, yeah. So all these trials and tribulations, man, you've been going through, all of a sudden you get this crazy opportunity to fight in the UFC against a guy that's a legend, right? Renan Barão. What was that like, man, preparing to step in there against a guy that was an ex-UFC Bantamweight champion, a guy that was a killer, bro? Renan Barão was a killer. And I know, I know his career kind of was going up and down and whatnot, but I mean, this is still Renan Barão. I mean, this is one of the most dangerous fighters, pound for pound, back in his day. What was that like?
Well, when I end up telling this story, and just like to speak on it, one, I didn't even know who Renan Barão was. All right.
Oh.
So at the time, I didn't know who he was. I was not watching UFC. If you wasn't John Jones, I'm not looking. It was like I was a John Jones fan because you always hear about John Jones, but I was more into boxing and everything. And so the fact is, when I got that call, my mind wasn't even thinking, oh, I got a contract call to go to to the UFC. I'm thinking about, hey, I'm getting ready to get me and my family about to get ready to get kicked out, and we're about to be homeless. So my mind's on that, not even thinking about that. And then on top of that, I was going through a little situation of management, dealing with that. And my manager it's Matt Dodge, who it is today, but a team rep from KO Reps, which was the owner of it. He was like over here, trying to keep me and all that other stuff. So my mind wasn't even on basically all that. It was one of those, hey, if this contract is true and if Matt Dodge doesn't get this contract, then I don't have a contract. And then on top of that, hey, I'm about to be homeless. I don't want to end up talking about this right now, so I'll call y'all back. And, you know, and everybody was like feeling sad because they thought I was getting ready to, or basically I walked away from the contract, like, you know, and then things got flipped around where, you know, they only called KO Reps because my name was attached to them and it wasn't attached to Dodge. And the only thing I needed to do was say, hey, you know, Dodge is or Dodge Sports is my managing group. So as soon as that happened, then they brought up the contract and say, yeah, you know, 4 fights, you know, you're gonna fight Hayden Brow. And I ended up calling my cousin or, you know, and, you know, my brother and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to fight this dude up in Brazil, et cetera, et cetera. You know, he's like an all-time champ or some super champ or something like that, right? And our cousin goes, you about to fight Hayden Brow? And I'm like, yeah, something like that. So I'm like, he goes, yeah, you know, he's pound for pound and all this. Like, so he's hyping him all the way up, right? And I'm like, on the phone, like, oh. Yeah. Okay. All right. I was like, we're gonna end up picking up training tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow. Like, you know, so I ended up hanging up. So it was off on that note, and everybody knows I was meant to be like a walking stool to put Hayden Brow back into the winning column, and I ended up understanding that. And even when he came over 6 pounds, you know, overweight and whatnot, be honest, it was just me wanting to fight. I'm be real. It was just me wanting to throw down. And now the fact is that I knew that he was one of the best, and me automatically working with or fighting somebody that was automatically the best, you know, it's automatically a mind mental type of push. Because out of everybody that's on the newcomer list right now, that no one ended up getting the chance to fight a legend for their debut, you know. So
yeah, that's a special thing right there.
There you go. I came in hot, man. If you would have cut the 6 pounds, he would have actually got knocked out in the first round. Just saying.
Yeah. And exactly. And you rose to the occasion. You pulled off the W, man. You won that fight. So now you pretty much have been going win, loss, win, loss, win, and you're coming off a nice win, right? Against a guy that's a dangerous opponent too, right? Jonathan Martinez. That guy is no joke. So you went out there, you took that fight. It was a closely contested match, but you won that fight hands down. That's it. You won the fight. Yeah, exactly. So you took that. Now you're going to put your first win streak, you know, in play right now in the UFC. You're going to win this next fight, put on your first win streak in the UFC. You're fighting a guy that we actually had on the show, man. We had him on the show as well. Irwin Rivera, who's an extremely tough dude, but this guy's been going in there and throwing down. What are your thoughts on that fight, man? You know, this guy brings it. How do you feel that you guys match up?
I honestly feel like we match up basically perfect. I'm like the perfect matchup for him, and he's a perfect matchup for me, you know. I know he's very explosive. He's very energetic. And at the same time, I know that I'm explosive and I'm very energetic. So it's like a good matchup, the way I look at it. And nothing but points to him because, one, I know he has that Mexican heart, and everybody knows about that. That's that warrior that comes up into that middle of the octagon / cage / ring, whatever you want to call it. Or other people, they know they're down to throw, like, you know. And just knowing what I do know of him is that, like, where he's from, he throws, like, you know, and we're not here to keep it boring. And I ended up loving like my mindsets like that. Like, I don't want to keep nothing boring. Like, bump all that, you know, like the grappling. And, you know, don't get me wrong, the grappling kicks in, but we're not trying to sit here and just lay and pray and that's about it. No, we're trying to get things done, work.
Maybe win some extra money, huh? Maybe get a little bonus.
Like, we got to eat. That's all I look at it. We got to end up eating. And so it gets you know, like I said, he gets points. That's all that matters. And the way I look at it is our styles is actually meant for each other. So, you know, fireworks.
Let me ask you this. I'm curious your thoughts upon this. What do you think about the weight that it carries, you know, being able to, you know, to talk a little bit of crap? You know, it's one thing. I mean, you got to be able to fight when it comes down to it. But seeing some of these guys like Conor McGregor, seeing some of these other guys that move through the ranks pretty quickly based on the way they carry themselves outside the octagon as well. What are your thoughts upon that? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you go out there, you know, you handle business, you pull off another victory. Does it ever play in your mind about maybe like the social media status, the you know, calling guys out, calling your shots, you know what I mean? Get the fans excited for these fights. What's your thoughts upon that?
To be honest, I feel like it's a go-to. You know, the way I look at it is whatever's your style, whatever you ends up automatically make you push for the day, knock it out. Like, you know, because I know I'm not a shit talker. We know this, but I crack jokes. We all know this. Like, you know, like it could come off like a certain way. It's just like, as long as it ended up not like messing up your mindset after you're inside the cage and it ends up being done. Because the way I look at it is just like this. I can end up talking shit about anybody and everybody. I can dislike anybody and everybody. Just like this right now, me and Chito ain't on the best playing field, however you want to end up calling it. Yeah, I end up losing, but there's a lot of shit that ended up happening where me and him don't see eye to eye like on a lot of things. Like if I end up seeing him right now, it's one of those, bro, we talk, we're gonna talk. And it's gonna be one of those type of things. It ain't gonna be one of those, hey, what's up, my friend? Like, nah, we're not friends. We're gonna have to chop it up. We're gonna have to throw, and then after we throw, then we can become cool. So even if it's a sparring match or back into the cage, regardless of the situation, that's our mindset. But when we're done, it's respect. Like, you know, because, you know, we just got done risking our lives for the situation. And that's honestly how I end up feeling about everything. You know, like you can say whatever the hell you want, but
lost you there for a second. Andre, can you hear us?
Okay, yeah.
That's all right. Lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I had an alarm for me to get on to your thing. So, but yeah, so it's like I stated, it comes down to that frame. Like anybody and everybody can talk shit because I already know that I'm going to end up probably running my mouth on a lot of things, like, you know, but my mouth is going to be running on competitiveness, just like this. Right now, they told me if I get to 100K likes, they'll let me fight Derek Lewis for a
Oh, yeah.
Boom. You feel me?
You're going to fight Derek Lewis? Is that a fight you want?
You feel me? That's the fight right now because, you know, like our last fight in Houston, you know, Derek Lewis was up in there eating Skittles as I was trying to cut weight on the last day. You got to end up understanding how it makes me feel. You feel me? But you see where I'm at right now. Like, this is my mind frame. Like, right now, it's like, that's a reason for me to fight Derek Lewis. Like, if I was a heavyweight, that would be me calling out Derek Lewis. Or we can go into, like, the BMF belt. Like, you know, George Masvidal shot, you know, nothing but points to him and everything. But I can automatically, in my mind, is you holding that belt, I want to fucking beat your ass for it, you know? And then we can end up eating a slice of pizza right after. But as long as we keep everything basically on the frame of we know this is business, and that's why everybody ends up like, or I feel like everybody ends up like fucking up in their head. Like they don't end up understanding. It's a business, and it's a business that we love to do. You know, people don't just fucking fight to fight. No, we're fighting because we love to fight and we're good at it. Like we had nothing else, and this is our last resort. Like, you know, like this was something I knew I was good at, but I try to stray away from it because I'm like hands down very nonviolent. And granted that I ended up being raised in the hood or moved into the hood and all this other shit and how you end up looking at it, I'm like raised up in it, and I end up understanding. I only fought. Only time that you see me fight was defending. If it was my brother, my cousin, or it's a situation of, hey, they're getting ready to rob us, or hey, you know, see you, or hey, cuz, or hey, blood, etc., off on like a lot of stuff like that. It's always end up me defending. Never came out to, hey, I'm about to, I see you outside, I'm about to go ahead and beat your ass. Like, you know, I'm not like that. Never was like that.
I can relate to you a lot, man. A lot in that sense, man. My dad always had a saying, you know, basically he would say like the best time, you know, the best thing you could do is when somebody has it coming to them, when they deserve it, they cross that line, you know what I mean? Say you're defending yourself, defending your brother, whatever, then enjoy it. You know, my dad say beat the shit out of him and enjoy it. You know what I mean? But, you know, that's how I always was too. Never looking for fights, never trying to start nothing. But if they come your way, then, you know,
you gotta put the hands on them. You gotta put the hands. And it was funny too, cause like this is how I knew I was like very a non-violent person, cause it was like a bully, like, you know, like I'll go ahead and fight a bully, beat the ass and everything, right? And I'll be like, I'll be feeling bad, and I'll be like, hey man, like I'm sorry for hitting you. You know, you just like, you know, you kind of ran in my face, like, you know, it's like one of those moments, like, hey, we can kind of like walk down, you know, like we can be cool. Like majority of like all the bullies ended up becoming my friends because we always fought. You know, and I grew up on that status of, hey, if you don't beat him up, I'm gonna beat you up type thing, and not those actual exactly words. And granted that I already cursed a lot, but the thing is, it's like one of those: you beat his ass, or I beat your ass when you get your ass home. It's like one of those. Okay, all right, that's right.
Or a lot of them start to respect you, right? A lot of guys that try to step all over you or whatever, all of a sudden you stand up to them. You know, they see that you're serious about your business, and then all of a sudden they're cool with you, right? Then they, they respect you. That's how it is, man.
And I was always watching movies. I promise you, it's like I always wanted to be. I was like growing up, like all these movies with these new kids pulling up to a new school, and with the lockers and shit, and then be like, for some odd reason they always picking on him, and he ends up fighting like the Karate Kid, like he was new. And granted, like I've been watching Cobra Kai, you end up seeing his side of the view of things. Like, man came up there, he was actually the bully. Like, I'm just saying, man.
I haven't seen it. I heard a little bit about it. Yeah, I saw a little something of it. I haven't seen it though.
I push you on. Watch the show. You'll end up loving it. You end up
loving
it.
All right, I'll give it a peek. Cobra Kai. It's the main dude, right? It was the young kid, but it's like he's older now, right? He's like a coach and whatnot.
Yeah. He ends up becoming the coach, but the one that ended up losing, Blondie. Forgetting his name right now, but it's basically behind him. Like you build off of what he grew up with, you get his side of the story, and then but they all come back into like a little unity. So it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool show.
I'll give it a check. I'll check it out. I got some quick questions for you. Cool. You could just answer these quickly, like one word answers or just quick answers. What's your dream matchup?
Oh man, dream matchup. Derek Lewis for the bucket of chicken.
Yeah, there we go.
That's my last answer with that one.
Favorite liquor if you drink.
Favorite liquor is Knockout Tequila. Hold on, wait right here. Don't
all right. He's about to pull up with the Knockout Tequila.
Knockout Tequila. And it's under my
just name. That name makes me want to check it out.
Boom. Hold on. There it is. Knockout Tequila. All you got to do is YouTube, jump on the little Google search and type in my first name and last name.com, and this will pop up. Right now, everything had to be like put on hold and on reserve type thing, so you can only like click on and try to reserve it. But it's because the whole COVID right now, so everything's like on pause. But yes, Knockout Tequila. It's one of
that's awesome, bro. I'm gonna give it a check too, man. I'm a big tequila fan. I got some tequila over here. Got the little skeleton guy over here. I see. There's some good stuff. I got some other tequila over here. Some Kirkland from Costco. All right. How about warm weather or cold weather?
Oh, I'm a cold weather because the fact is I like to warm up in the covers, and that's snuggle time. You feel me? It's all about snuggle time.
There we go. KO or submission? What would you rather do?
KO all day.
The best heavyweight fighter of all time?
Are we talking UFC or boxing? Or just in general?
MMA.
Okay.
You can give us both, though. Give us a boxer, too.
All right. For MMA heavyweight of all time, I want to go with Cormier, and I know that he lost to Stipe, but I'm a Cormier fan,
Okay.
So, he's always going to end up being my favorite at the moment. Granted, like I just not too long ago, probably we'll say like 2 years of actually watching UFC because I jumped into UFC to start watching. Okay. But right now, John Jones is getting ready to go to heavyweight, so he might actually be the favorite, But besides that, granted that I do like Stipe, though. Stipe's pretty smooth. You feel me?
Yeah, Stipe's mine. I like Stipe. And I'm a big Cormier fan, too. That was tough for me, bro, watching them both throw down because I like both them so much. And I was like, damn, I got to pick one of these guys.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm going to put him like this.
Yeah.
All right, so tomorrow will be Stipe. Today is Cormier. All
right. But, what about for boxing?
Boxing, all time, I'm always going to stick with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson.
That's mine.
That's mine. I love Muhammad Ali, but, that's old. And this is like, I grew up watching Tyson as the same as me watching Roy Jones. So Mike Tyson is my favorite. Yeah.
You know what's crazy about Mike, man? When I grew up, I wasn't that big of a fan of his. I kind of didn't like him. I was more of like a Holyfield fan, right? When they were fighting, I was more on Holyfield's side because I thought Tyson was crazy. He's acting nuts and whatnot, biting people's ears. But now I would say Mike Tyson's my favorite boxer of all time as I got to see him, as I got to know him more, man, and like really see what he's about. I really like his warrior mindset, bro. He's like a student of conquerors. You know what I mean? Like he studies all Alexander the Great, all these guys. I love his mindset. And I would say he's my favorite boxer of all time, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, definitely. Like how you said, a student just of life in general. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the dude gets so much credit in my books, just the fact is in he went through a lot, like, you know, and a lot of people don't understanding like a lot of those fights that he ended up taking, they ended up like forcing him to take like these like certain type of calm down pills type shit, you know, where you didn't
Yeah.
really get that fierce Tyson that we're all used to and that we all grew to watch. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like when he ended
That
up
we
fighting
loved.
yeah, that we all love. Like, you know, the
Yeah.
first Holyfield fight, like that's what it was on. Like, you know, the fight when he fought Lewis or Lennox Lewis. Like
Lennox
he was
Lewis. Yep.
on he was on that. He was on those type
Mm-hmm.
of deals. Like, or even when he came back and fought no, actually no, he wasn't on that one, even though I feel like he was. But granted, like a lot of fights, they forced him to take shit before he jumped in to fight shit. And it's kind of funny that nowadays it's like frowned upon. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you can't take nothing. You know, we're gonna test you, you know. But back then they wasn't getting like fucking tested. And if they did get tested, like, you know, they're kind of like don't say anything about it. Like the rumors are going around that Holyfield was on some shit, you know, like actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, that's that, and that's you know how it ends up floating. But regardless of the situation, everything was amazing, and for him to honestly conquer that and be able to tell us his side of things is awesome.
And he's throwing down in a couple of weeks, right? Not too long. He's
Oh
throwing
yeah,
down against Roy Jones.
oh yeah, definitely. I can't. I know a lot of people ended up feeling high expectations on that. You know, it's going to be exciting. I know that because Roy keeps it really exciting. And Mike Tyson just being him anywhere, it's always
Mm-hmm.
exciting. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Cheat meal. I always go to ramen.
I
Ramen,
love those too, man.
that's automatically to go to. But
Yeah.
granted that I ended up like yeah, I'm just gonna stick with ramen. Ramen's like gonna be like literally my favorite.
You got
And
to give us a flavor, though. You got to give us a flavor.
everything's spicy.
Yeah,
Pork broth spicy as
yeah,
hell. I need
that's
it
good.
spicy could be. I want to be like shitting hot fire out of my you feel me?
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I put cayenne pepper in my ramen noodles.
Oh yeah, see, we're
Yeah.
on the same page. Same page.
I love them.
You know?
Let's see what's the best walkout song?
Right now, if we're talking about what I'm coming out to,
Yeah.
it's gonna be Try Jesus. That's what I'm coming out to. And I wanted to come out to WAP, but the song Try Jesus, everybody was like boxing me like, hey, you should come out to this. And I'm like, you know what? It actually ends up fitting because, you know, like especially like all the what's going on in the world right now, it's kind of like I feel like it's very befitting for the situation. You know, Try Jesus, not me. You know,
Yeah.
stop one thing, I ain't giving you the other one. I'm about to punch you. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those.
I like it. I like it.
But if anybody comes out to WAP, and like I said, after this one, and no one comes out to WAP, I'm coming out to WAP because I'm a huge Cardi B fan. You know, Cardi B is amazing. She's freaking awesome. She can rap. And then you got Megan Thee Stallion on that. That's automatically amazing and hot too. So I feel like that is like perfect matchup for me to automatically walk out to. You know,
There we go.
that'll be my next one, not this one. For the next one.
All right. And then I got the last one for you. What was your favorite KO you ever seen? Favorite knockout you ever seen?
Favorite knockout I ever seen. I'm gonna go with mine when I ended up doing this right hook to one of my opponents at King of the Cage, and this one actually made me the shit. You know, it literally made me the shit. I'm just saying, you guys just look this one up. I'll end up either posting it or you can look out on my damn thing. It's my King of the Cage walk off knockout. Literally,
Do you remember who it was against?
It was against Gustavo Lopez, which
Gustavo
is
Lopez.
now
Okay.
in UFC right now. But you know, shout out to him. But that fight was one of those. I was the underdog. I wasn't supposed to win. I was not even. And not only that, I went from fighting for a title to being the first, the starter of a fight. The next one, and it ended up having me hot that day. I was so mad. That whole training camp, I was pissed off. I even talked to the promoters, nothing but love to them. But, you know, their eyes was just like, yeah, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, a little small, trying to calm me down type thing, but it made me feel very sad and broke my heart. Like, you know, how you go from a main event to being the opener. I was like, I'm confused, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is what it was. But, you know, but I'm going to go ahead and say that one, because that one, I literally did a walk-off. And not only did a walk-off, I ended up jumping over the cage and basically on the other side screaming, like, you know, screaming pretty. Yeah, I was out there screaming. No one understood what I was saying, but I was out there.
I want to check that fight out. Yeah, Gustavo is in the UFC too. He's about to be fighting Felipe Coleras coming up. So yeah, he's a UFC caliber fighter too. So I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. That's to be honest, I think when we and him fought, he was supposed to walk on to the UFC right after he beat me. Literally right after he beat me. But I ended up stopping that, and because, you know, Misha takes a student and everything. I ended up stopping that, and he ended up going to America Compate.
Yeah.
I'm
checking him out now. Good stuff, man. Well, yeah, man. I'll tell you right now. Speaking for the fans, a lot of people are excited for that Irwin Rivera matchup. That's a fight that a lot of people think's like the sleeper fight of that card. You know, a lot of people are expecting fireworks.
Yeah, so, definitely is a sleeper, and I make sure it's going to be fireworks. And I know Irwin's definitely getting to make fireworks, so we're going to make it exciting.
I know. Yeah, I would say, man, you and Irwin were two of the best guests I've had on this show. And, you know, it's pretty cool. I had both you guys on. So, you know, I don't know who to root for, bro. I like both you guys. I'm torn between you guys right now, man. Like, damn.
I totally understand. It happens, you know.
Yeah, man.
So, just like if we have like everybody that's mindset just like that, then hey, that means we're doing our job, you know.
Yeah.
We're automatically doing our job. So that's automatically love there. So thank you.
Good stuff, man. You got any sponsors you want to shout out? You want to let everybody know where they can follow you on Instagram so we can get you to 100K?
Exactly. Day 42. All right. Spelled DAII42. I need followers up to 100K. I get the fight for a bucket of chicken versus Derek Lewis. They told me. This is what they told me. They brought it to my face, okay? And then, you know, it's Team Ewell. Everybody knows about this. It's automatically Team Ewell. Everybody and all my sponsors that are automatically with me. You know, nothing but love to them. And we're gonna keep pushing this. So Team Ewell all the way. You know, we're about to take over. We're not here to lollygag. We're here to take over. So that's what we do. So thank you for
That's
having
awesome.
me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man, so much again. And I'm looking forward to watching your career transpire right in front of us. So I'm going to be watching, man, all your fights. And anytime you want to come on, you have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on, any news you want to say or whatever. And I appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. And I'm definitely down. All right.
All right, Andre. All right, man. Good luck out there.
Appreciate you.
That was awesome, man. Andre. Another solid dude. Another solid dude, man. Andrew Ewell taking out Irwin Rivera. I mean, that's crazy too, right? Because we just had Irwin Rivera on the show, man. He's a solid dude too. Both these guys are very entertaining. That fight's going to be I'm telling you guys right now, that's a sleeper fight on that card. That fight has all the makings to be a very, very exciting fight, man. I like both the energy that both those guys bring. So definitely looking forward to that. And, you know, that fight is taking place September 19th. And that's a big card, man. That's Colby Covington versus Woodley. There's some big names on that card. Mackenzie Dern, Johnny Walker, Kevin Holland versus Darren Stewart, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Khamzat Chimaev. That's a stacked card. So you guys know the fight companion is going to be going down for that, and we're going to be excited to watch that fight take place. Andrew Ewell taking out Irwin Rivera. Shout out to both those guys. And, yeah, man, that was awesome. And, yeah, man, we got the Bellator predictions in as well. And, yeah, man, I appreciate you, Josh, man. They're going to keep coming too, man. I got a bunch of fighters scheduled too, man. I got Thursday scheduled, man, for weeks now, man. Some really, really exciting fighters, man. Guys that I cannot wait to talk with. So I appreciate all you guys that tuned in. And I promise you I'll keep delivering, man. I'll keep keeping the show going. And I'm going to keep stepping up the quality. I got some things I'm working on. I'm going to have a whole entirely new studio. I promise you guys that. Stick with me. Getting new equipment. and a lot of big things coming, man, from the Teller. So I appreciate all you guys that tuned in. This weekend is full of fights. It's full of fights. We have 2 Bellator cards. We got the UFC Saturday. I believe LFA is also going down. It might be who's fighting on that LFA card? I was just looking at that. Was it Njokuani? Chidi? Was it Chidi? Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, Chidi Njokuani, man. A very talented striker. He's fighting in the main event over there at LFA, who's he's been having a little bit of a tough go his last couple of fights, but losing to guys like Andrei Koreshkov, Rafael Carvalho, John Salter. Those are all 3 tough dudes. So now he's fighting in LFA. Let him, bounce back in the win column and maybe go back to Bellator or the UFC maybe down the line. We got to string some victories together still, more than that. I appreciate you, Josh, man. Much respect, man. I guess I'm going to go check out this NFL game, man. We got the Chiefs and the Texans, the first game of the season. Chiefs came in as a big favorite. I'm going to go catch up on the NFL game. And again, man, much respect to all of you guys. Please hit that like button. And Fight Companion is going down. It is going down Saturday. Things look good for that. And it'll be a solid card. And I appreciate all you guys. And on that note, you guys know what time it is. Signing out, the Teller.